on a bet champion.
My good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course our friends across the world. It's another edition of Celebrating Concept here on Synergy TV. My name is Brian Haynes, your host for the evening. Like I've been saying all the way through, this series started to trace the 30 years that I've been in media and some of the things I've experienced, people I've encountered, and scenarios that have occurred. And tonight, it's one of those things. I want to use the word oxymoron, but it's not really an oxymoron, but the phenomenon of Trinidad and Tobago, the land of calypso and soca, having this whole movement of reggae music. I'll be honest with you, when the concept was first introduced, I was still on radio, still programming and still hosting shows. And I was one of the people who advocated or spoke out against it initially, saying, okay, we have our own music and our own genre that we can cultivate and build, and we should not necessarily be going into the whole concept of embracing reggae music. We've already had a severe infiltration of that kind of music from Jamaica, and our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and in Jamaica should be given the opportunity to continue to grow while we developed our own. That was my argument then, all the way back then. And as time went by, I was introduced to the levels of success and the impact of the music, and then I got into knowing a lot of the artists, the people behind it, the creative forces, and I saw the power and presence of it, and I had to, of course, renege on my statement. It's important for us to identify when we have, when we were wrong, and to step away from it and to readjust our position, and I've been able to do that in my 3 decades in the industry. Tonight, we're talking reggae, roadblock reggae music from Trinidad and Tobago to the world. It's a strange twist because the guests I have on the program aren't the usual face, not the people you're probably expecting to sit down and have this kind of conversation with me. But I'll explain who they are as we get into it properly. Let me introduce them first of all. To my left, we've got a gentleman that I've known for quite some time. I remember doing a commercial, a radio commercial with you and having to do multiple takes. And you were very patient with me because I was very young as an announcer back then. Carl Beaver Henderson. Right. Over the years, he's grown to be one of my very good friends and a gentleman I respect a lot because he's so passionate about what he does and what he's been able to create. Beaver, welcome to the program, man.
Actually, you just exposed the age, 30 years, eh? 30 years in the business.
I mean, it's 30 years, 3 decades, but I started as a teenager.
No. Well, but I know you started 6 months after me, so it can't be
yeah. Listen, Beaver was a judge in party time. You just everywhere.
Everywhere. No, actually, I'm 20 years ahead of you.
Well, okay. To my right, we've got a gentleman who's been on the program before in one capacity, but because he wears so many hats, he's back. It's Big G, Jaron Woodruff.
Hey, right? Thanks for having me again, Obi.
Right? And we are going to be joined by the other half of Woodruff and Woodruff. I know she's on the line, and we did the test and stuff with her already, and we'll be bringing her in. Do we have her? Can we say goodnight to her before we get into the details? Do we have her yet? Okay, well, when we have her online, we'll of course insert her into the conversation. Now, the reason these gentlemen are here is because, little known fact in Trinidad and Tobago, these two gentlemen, along with an artist that we know and love called Marlon Asher, were the ones responsible for starting the whole process of reggae music from Trinidad and Tobago to the world. Who want to start to tell me the story? Yes. Carl Beaver, who produced that song?
That's right.
Right? The song that Marlon Asher did,
yes.
Ganja Farm. Tell the story, Carl.
Actually, we broke the gate down. Because actually it started before me. I mean, it started really with Jaron and Marlon from Enterprise. Jaron and myself were trying to interact with a couple of different projects previously. Jaron was looking to come into the industry. I was trying to advise him to stay out. I mean, but too stubborn, he decided he wanted in. And then one day he came and he told me he has this artist with this song, he's feeling something with it. And he brought Marlon Asher. And then from the time I heard this song, what impressed me with this song was the melody. I'm a melody person. So when I first heard the melody, everything just, paused really, right. Everything just clicked. As a producer, you know when something is about to happen. But not knowing at the time how big it could have gone, but something was right with the track. So basically, G just dropped Marlon in my lap and said, Beaver, I feel you could do something with this. And we messed for a while, and then Marlon's going through some changes. We started, we stopped, we started, we stopped. At that point in time, I was at Sound Base in Lamar Studios.
Right.
Right, I had my own little, actually the room was done in was the room that Shock worked in for years.
Wow.
So that became my room, my
All the
production
spirits and energies there.
That's right.
yeah.
That's
So
right.
that became my production room afterwards on the second floor. Eventually we did this song, and I remember when I was mixing this song, that particular week when I was mixing the song, a couple interesting things happened. A couple artists, our studios would pop in and out and knock on the door, and a couple heard, track, and again, local reggae. Nah, Beaver, no nonsense is that, that kind of situation.
Dismissive.
Totally dismissive. Because their energies weren't there. But I also remember playing his song when it was the final day of mixing for 2 program directors of 2 major radio stations in Trinidad. And they both told me, Beaver, nice track, but. That word but in our industry signifies a slam, a closed door.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I called G and I said, change our plans. And we sat down, we brainstormed, and we decided we're going to guerrilla market the song. So what eventually happened is, while I was doing other projects after that and working, no matter what I was doing, the old Mac, I would be burning CDs. So during each session I did, I would have 5, 10 CDs burnt. So by the end of the day, I would leave in a car and have 5, 10, 20 CDs on my passenger seat. So if I went into a gas station, I hear a Maxi give out a CD. Somebody playing music, I was just giving out CDs. G, on the other hand, was doing the same thing on the streets. Went to the streets, and actually, where this song really took out was in Das Trace, in Enterprise.
Yeah.
So our whole thing was to go from ground zero and let it work up, because we realized we couldn't go in the front door of the media to get it played. And then he passed it on to Gage,
Yeah.
Chariot.
Black Chariot.
Yeah. And other people, and we just shifted it outside. So eventually this song, at that point in time, we hadn't pressed manufactured CDs, nothing yet.
No.
Right, because we were still just trying to get the song off the ground. And then we were feeding the song with New York, Miami, London, Africa. Canada, everywhere. We just, it's like throwing up against the wall, hope it sticks somewhere, but it's stuck everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now, the production-wise, the reason this whole thing excited me was, at that point in time, Jamaica, because I remember you saying about, this was originally, is Jamaica's thing. At that point in time, Jamaica's direction and energy was dance hall. So there was hardly any amount of roots rock, reggae, or anything like that coming out of Jamaica. So I just decided, dance hall is there, soca is there, always in the market, you have to be different. So instead of trying to be different and create something new, reinventing the wheel, I went back into the back pocket and brought back the same kind of energy that what Marley and all those guys did. It's a kind of a warmth. So I went back into the reggae pocket. But I can also tell you, Ganja Farmer is not a reggae, it's a soca.
Huh?
Yeah, well, Beaver will have to break that down for you,
Ganja Farmer, you
the
see,
rhythm.
again, it really is like a production, like a magician's trick.
See, I tell you, stories going to be real tonight. We're going to get some
Max,
So in other words,
they can play.
watch my left hand, but it's really my right hand.
Okay.
Ganja Farmer, the song is reggae idioms. The only thing reggae and Ganja Farmer is reggae is the kenk, the guitar, and piano strum. Everything else is soca. Soca slow down to 80 BPM.
Yeah, but you can't tell the average listener, anyone listening to that song, it sounds fundamentally reggae.
You see, again, it's not about, I don't produce to explain to something. I produce for emotion.
Right.
So once that emotion is done, it could have been Afro dub house, it could be anything, whatever it is. The fact remains it created the mood it was supposed to create, right? That's why that synth was da da da, that moaning synth. it complemented the melody and the mood that Marlon was portraying in the song. But it is, if you listen to the song, I'm a ganja panther, it's soca to 80 BPM. You know? So in other words, even though it was claimed, quote unquote, reggae out of Trinidad, it is us, it is Trinidad, it is soca embedded inside. The first person who recognized that was Maxi Priest's drummer.
Yeah.
Who tried to play it.
He couldn't play it in Zen.
No,
he had to ask Beaver how to play it.
Not the way it was produced.
Okay.
And if you hear Ganja Farmer live anywhere in the world, basically played live, it's played one drop. That is not a one drop rhythm.
It's just the adaptation because it's the only way they could actually get away with it executing it.
Exactly.
All right.
You know, and that is the uniqueness of that track, Ganja Farmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gee, what was it like? I mean, you were a main part of the engine driving this whole process.
Yeah. Well, what happened is...
hold on.
Yeah.
He was the marketing engine.
Yeah.
He and Angie were the all 8 pistons.
Yeah. My sister and I, we took hold of those reins and we rode it straight into millions of dollars. But what happened is that, you know, a lot of people, they hear talent and they see talent, Toby, right? And the first thing that comes to their mind is how much it will cost to get that talent anywhere, or just to get the talent recorded, you know? But the reality is that we have been doing this for a long time without any real success financially, but yet still we stuck at it, you know? Marlon Asher was singing with Black Chariot all over the country, and some other reggae artists as well, like Prophet Benjamin, Mr. King, Isasha. These guys were actually singing all over the country, you know, before the whole reggae explosion took off. It was like an underground thing that was happening in all the little reggae clubs like Shipwreck, Prosperity, so on and so forth, right? Now, they had a big niche market, you know, a big following. And every weekend, they will sell out. And Marlon was singing Ganja Farmer on a popular rhythm, right? And we heard the CD. Clint Dupree, a good friend of mine, that's Marlon Asher's cousin, played that CD for me, Clint Dupree. And when I heard the song, Obi, I was like, nah, this is a hit. Because the crowd was making so much noise for Marlon. And in Trinidad and Tobago, for a crowd to make noise for you, unknown, is unheard of, you know? So that is what really made me take the song and carry it to Beaver and say, I feel we have something with this song, you know. And Beaver did not record that song first. We actually recorded 2 or 3 different Marlon Asher songs in a collaboration with my group. You know, Pass Me a Chalice, Let Me Burn It in a Buckingham Palace. We had Marlon do that, do over that.
And actually
on a hip-hop beat.
And a Stevie Wonder
And a Stevie Wonder cover.
Yeah.
We did all that before we even did Ganja Farmer.
Wow.
You know, Ganja Farmer, to me, was the last song we did.
Yeah, it was part of the package.
Yeah, and then it was time to package that song. We had to spend a lot of money in 2004. It wasn't easy to bust a
There was no YouTube.
reggae song in the world, you know. It wasn't even easy to bust a reggae song in Trinidad and Tobago. You know what I mean? The radio DJs, forget the radio DJs.
That I actually was putting a special corner for that that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to understand first. Those at home viewing might be wondering, okay, why are we focusing on Ganja Farmer? Because again, we didn't start off the program by establishing the stats, by putting all the facts as they
That's
are.
right.
Because people,
That's right.
too many of us in Trinidad and Tobago exist, but we don't understand the history. So let's put some of the stats down. First of all, Ganja Farmer was the first reggae song produced and created in Trinidad and Tobago.
100%.
100% by Trinbagonians that broke international barriers.
Yes.
Right. Ganja Farmer was also the first song, reggae song, period, after which all the other reggae acts that we now know and enjoy came. So Marlon Asher was essentially the first.
Yeah.
And
First
then
artist,
it was
yeah.
followed by,
I think it was followed by Mr. King.
Studio 50.
Studio 53.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
that
had
team.
a whole catalog.
Yeah.
You know, that was Mr. King, Isasha. You know, Prophet Benjamin, he was also on the circuit, performing with Rick, all in libraries, the Splash. They were doing well, you know, they were making a name for themselves, right? But they didn't it didn't burst the doors.
They were behind
music
the
didn't burst
barrier.
open.
Yeah.
That was,
You know?
they more or less performed on the local front. Marlon took it.
I remember when the song actually first got recognized as local. Was remember they did something down O2 Park, was kind of a fundraiser for Jackie.
Right.
And I remember
Yes.
seeing Surf backstage.
Yes.
Surf came and hugged me up. He said, Beaver, thank you. I said, for what? He said, you don't know, you opened the door for a lot of us who have been toiling at this reggae thing for over a decade.
Yes.
We just couldn't break down that door.
Surf and Uber and all,
Yeah,
all those
so
guys.
that one song opened up floodgates and everybody just, ran into it after that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to get into the international side of it. I want to get into what it was like when Ganja Farmer went out there. Because the story I heard was that they went out there before he came home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It broke internationally before he
Yeah.
was in Trinidad.
Interesting
I
story.
want to get at that side of the story going on, as we continue with this particular edition of Celebrating Concepts. Trinidad and Tobago, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we continue the conversation with Celebrating Concepts, the Reggae Ambassador version, and the stories that are being told tonight you probably never heard before, and you might be scratching your head as it's a little unbelievable, but there's a lot more to be revealed as we continue with the discussion. We'll be right back after this.
Wanna bet champion. Reggae music.
Every day, the clients at Glorious Bodies, Glorious Minds are experiencing the slimming benefits of the LipoSarge and LipoSlim protocols with measurable results. Don't you wish to join them? It is non-surgical and the safest way to be slim. Now hear from the acclaimed founder of LipoSarge, Charles Wiltsey.
We know LipoSarge works as it derives itself from research that was published in a peer-reviewed magazine, research that I did in the late 1990s, indicating dimension loss and significant reduction in the look of cellulite on women. Liposuction is invasive and LipoSarge is not. LipoSarge is a great alternative to liposuction.
At Glorious Bodies, Glorious Minds, you would be amazed at your new look from the very first treatment. Call us in Trin City at 640-8209. Now on O'Meara Road, upstairs Extra Foods. We dare you to look and feel your best.
Wheels by Bolo, Wheel One Concept Limited, and Advanced Imports Limited for the best deals on rims, tires, and auto accessories. They are the Caribbean's largest retailer of rims, tires, and auto accessories with a wide range of sizes, styles, and unique designs. Wheels by Bolo, Wheel One Concept Limited, and Advanced Imports Limited also offer wheel and rim repair services. Check out our showroom at number 188 New Colonial Road, Barrackpore. Call 868-654-1053 or visit them on Facebook and Instagram at Wheels by Bolo. Upgrade the look and performance of your ride with the exclusive selection of rims and tires from Wheels by Bolo, Wheel One Concept Limited, and Advanced Imports Limited.
Dare to dream and feel the rush. Rush. Keep believing.
This Friday, it's another action-packed edition of Friday Night Live, with appearances by Swappy, Dev, Ziggy Rankin, Gabby from the Flick, Abiel, the Prince of Soca Paran, Del Toro, K. Allen, Joaquin Headley, Lil Angels of Dance with their full junior and senior squad, and a special performance of all the artists on the Happy Rhythm, featuring Turner, Wadiki, Raymond Ramnarai, Third Base and College Boy Jesse. And another big surprise, we launched the 2020 Carnival presentation by Jagasaw Costumes, Untamed Territory. So make sure and be there for Friday Night Live. This Friday, it's going to be a movie.
Need air conditioning? Then call Supreme Air Conditioning at 689-3087 or 365-1163, located at number 25 Councilman Circular, Barataria. We supply, install, service, and repair most if not all brand AC units, residential and commercial, starting at $2,500, 12,000 BTU. Already have AC units? Need reliable and professional service? Then call Supreme Air Conditioning at 689-3087 or 365-1163. We offer to you a service maintenance program starting at $250, 12,000 to 24,000 BTU. Supreme Air Conditioning is not only about competing prices. We do it right the first time.
Champion, wanna bet champion, reggae music.
Trinidad and Tobago, as we continue with our special edition of Celebrating Concepts, the reggae ambassadors telling all the stories and tracing the history. And the opening billboard says it all. It's the pioneers, the people that started the whole thing. All right, and we do have, you expect on set to see some dreadlocks looking. But that's not the story, right?
It's in your heart.
It's in your heart.
All right, let's talk. We started by kind of, introducing the whole concept of ganja farmer and what it did and Malanasha and that impact, all right? But that's not even half the story, right? What I heard that this thing went outside and became a major hit outside before Trinidad and Tobago woke up to it. I want to tell my story about being told, hey, I have this song right here. That is when you came and spoke to me about it, remember?
Yes,
but before I get to that point, tell us about what Ali did with it internationally.
He will tell you a story because
Yeah.
Trinidad knew of the song a year to a year and a half later.
Yes, it's true. We actually recorded the song in early 2004 and released it early 2004. But
locally?
No, to New York, because as Beaver said, we were getting trouble and problems to release the song locally. Right? So if nobody wanted to play it, they didn't want to play it at all. Ganja was a taboo topic.
That's the question. Was the feedback? Was the feedback from the media first? Or
It's nice, but
yeah, it was a taboo topic.
The problem was the topic of the song, ganja.
It was the topic of the song, and the underlying tone was locally produced.
Yeah.
You understand?
Listen to me. I was told by a certain senior person at a radio station, Beaver, we can play Jamaican reggae, no problem. And it's even after the door became open. But local reggae had to be cleared by higher authority first.
Because it was an industry. It was, the guys who sang that, Isasha, Prophet Marlon, everybody, King David, Mr. King, they're still making money performing those same songs 10 years later. It's an industry.
But what was the taboo about reggae music from Trinidad? What was the big deal? Because we were essentially a Jamaican-based culture. We had the infiltration of dancehall and reggae and stuff in Trinidad was phenomenal.
Yes.
So
Obi comes back to, this could be a whole other show. Because we are in the middle of discussion of the entertainment, the music industry now, that we keep saying that all we are is soca, and when soca done is just soca. We are very, one-dimensional industry. When I first came into the industry, nearly 50 years ago, we did more stuff outside of Carnival than in Carnival. So we are trying to get back where we were 40, 50, 60 years ago. It wasn't about Carnival, it wasn't only about Calypso. So even in those days, what used to happen is once it's local, it's not good enough. Because we were producing musicians, artists, songs that could have stood up anywhere in the world. I could tell you of artists, people who worked with some of the you remember the song more, how do you like it?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
for
sure,
instance.
true. Yeah.
If you listen to that song, the horns are sparrow troubadours horns. In other words, those things were happening with us all over the world. We were there. But we had a thing, and we still have it, that once it's local, it is not authentic, it's not good. But we as Trinidadians could stand up in every single genre of music in the world and excel.
Ganja Farmer is one of the examples.
Right, but we keep pulling each other down, and trying to convince each other that Trinidad is not good enough, and that has been the problem and still is a problem today.
I think that while I agree with you, I think there's also another side to it, because there are things in Trinidad that aren't good enough.
Quite well, we'll get to that.
There
We
are
can get to
things
that.
that we produce that are substandard, and the argument is sometimes used in reverse. People try and say, "Oh, you're trying to fight it on because is we trying to make
Well, that's
something
also
happen?"
the same point as why a lot of reggae is not played today, because it became such like a fast food cheap thing that everybody just thought, go on a computer and play crank, crank. In other words, they cheapened the production down and gone to the next extreme. So the radio stations now, on the flip side, started to realize the productions were cheapening and stopped playing it. So that helped kill the whole movement we had started. When I say it slowed it down a hell of a lot.
All right. Now we've gone off on a different direction,
Yeah,
because
but-
I'm trying to get to what it was like when it. I want to get some understanding of the impact it had internationally.
Yeah.
In its introduction.
Well, first to begin with, back in those days, we didn't have any social media. This was 2004, 2005, right? We didn't have any social media
I can
platforms.
imagine, eh?
We had MySpace and these kind of things, but it wasn't really
Revolution or
reaching. It
something,
wasn't.
yeah.
It didn't reach where it was supposed to reach at, right? So we had to do marketing on the street that we call guerrilla marketing, right? So we would go into all the pirates. Pirates were a big thing back in 2004. It was all about the pirates. It was the fight against the pirates. The pirates were running things because the internet wasn't really regulated yet as far as piracy went.
Was social media.
Yeah, they were the social media. They were the networks. They were the distributors, right? But nobody wanted to go to them. It was a kind of taboo topic. Don't go by them. Don't go by them. You're losing money. You're giving away music for free. All I heard there was giving away music. So I went and gave it to them because the radio stations in Trinidad and Tobago wouldn't listen to us. We started here. Yeah, and Beaver, we started to promote it here.
Yeah.
And then when we all doors closed, we said, well, let's go New York. Let's go Miami. Let's go Atlanta. Let's go LA. Let's go Canada. Everywhere we went after that accepted it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we were getting airplay. Rodigan gave us a call. We didn't even know who Rodigan was, you know? And he said, I love this song. I need to get this song on special, you know? But y'all guys will be coming up to London soon. I didn't know we were going anywhere, you know what I'm saying? But Rodigan was the one who really gave me that phone call and said, you see, that song is going to be big. And personally, by the grace of God, because God was the one who really, to me, who really directed my movements, you know, on where to send it, how to do this, how to speak to this one. And then people just started to call me, you know, and that's how I knew it was playing in certain territories. When it was time to release it now officially, Marlon Asher cut his hair, right? So he cut his hair down to a bald head. So we didn't know how to market a bald head reggae singer.
Who was no longer dreadlocks.
And this is when the song started to play outside, so we had to do photo shoot and get the package together. He cut his head because he had a bad head cold, right? So when he cut his hair, that was 2004, eh, Beav? Beaver said, G, we have to hold back until he grow back that hair, at least a little picky hairstyle, and then we could release him. So it stole us about 6-7 months, you know? And then we took the picture by a mango tree in my backyard, you know, with a little camera back in those days.
Right.
I think my wife self went and take the picture, you know, and we cleaned it up on the computer. It only had like 2 filters back then, you know? And we put that out there. That was the profile pic, you know, and so the promotional pic. And we do a biography on him. Angie, my sister, she is very skilled in all of that, and she was based in New York at the time. And she used to work with you, and I think you all did bookings and stuff, Lauryn Hill, Method Man, Usher, a lot of stuff she did. She was linked to William Morris and Creative Artists, the agencies out in LA and New York. So she already had that know-how on getting an artist through the door, you know? So when we sent it to her, she was like, no, I need this like this, and I need that like that. So she was the one who really polished it and had Marlon. She used to stay by her when he went to New York.
She shaped the market.
Yeah, and she run him through New York, Miami, Africa, Angie.
We're trying to get her on the line. We're having some problems with the audio. I'm not sure if they rectified this yet. Are we okay with Angie yet? Okay, so let's see if we can bring her in. The other half of the company that would become Woodruff and Woodruff Management.
Management.
Yes.
Yes.
Angie Woodruff. Hi, Angie. Cool. You been listening?
I have been listening. I have been tuning in like flashback.
All right. You're going a whole nostalgic role right now. Well, the whole thing is that, I mean, this program, like I said, is really tracing the whole pioneers of reggae music here in Trinidad and Tobago. And without a doubt, Marlon was the one that started, that broke the door down. And there's so much I want to ask you in terms of what was it like getting him out on the international market as a Trinidadian artist doing reggae music?
Okay, so I would say, first of all, when I think about Marlon's success, I always frame it in terms of an underground economy, right? Because we did everything without having a lot of resources, but having a lot of good common sense and really good networks to get things done. So essentially, I would say that the song itself was recognized before Marlon.
Right.
So as a person, Marlon Asher was not necessarily what you can consider a reggae music entity, or he didn't have a reggae music identity. But as the singer of the Ganja Farmer, he was known.
Right.
So the brand identity for Marlon essentially was created through the framework of the Ganja Farmer.
Right.
And he became known through the song.
Okay, but tell me a little bit about some of the challenges you had introducing it to the market. Was it introduced as a Trinbagonian artist, or did you have to fudge the whole thing and pretend he's just Caribbean and or it didn't matter?
So many people already seem to have believed that Marlon was Jamaican because the song itself was somehow taken to have this authentically sounding reggae beat to it. So there was an assumption that he was an unknown Jamaican artist, which we worked to correct every single time. We're like, no, he's not Jamaican, he's Trinidadian. It came with a few raised eyebrows initially, but then in the spirit of the song and how, I guess, Marlon's vibe as well, everything just kind of made the way for him to continue sort of maximizing on the opportunity. And the very first show Marlon did in New York was at Randall's Island. It was Reggae Cali Fest. And he took the stage by himself with his one song, pretty much among every major headlining reggae artist you could think about. So it was a really phenomenal moment for him to be seen on that stage. And I believe from that summer, we were very busy. We were doing sometimes 3 shows a night. Sometimes I didn't know what day it was. And it was also a bit of a whirlwind because everything just kind of started to work with a particular kind of momentum. And you understand in the music industry, once you're in momentum, you don't stop it. So then sort of the rate at which things were moving, it demanded other things to start happening. So whereas you didn't necessarily have a website, you had to create a web page. You had to create a way for people to reach you. You had to kind of consider, well, how are we booking these gigs? What is, kind of making sure you had contracts and things in place so that when you started reaching out and people started contacting you, you already had in place a protocol, of a business protocol, I should say, for how you wanted to proceed to the next steps. Because, well, I don't have a lot of patience for wasting time, as most people know. So I pretty much like to get down to business. So in terms of having to get the business done, you either wanted to or not to. If you didn't want to, that's okay, but move aside and let the people who want to get in the business deal with it. So in that sense, also, I was also a female manager working in an international market with a male reggae artist. My gendered performance of manager was very uncomfortable for others, which wasn't, again, not my problem. I earned many not so flattering titles because whenever people cannot manipulate you in the way that they would like, you earn the B title. And that was okay, but I still was about my business. So at the end of the day, that's, Jay-Z said it, right? It's music business for a reason.
No
So
doubt.
in terms of that, it's just once you establish a level of respect with the people with whom you're working, they're able to kind of also greet you on that level and work with you on that particular level of understanding.
The question I want to ask is, how big was it? I mean, in the context of size and scope, I'm sitting here in Trinidad listening to some of the stories and trying to envision just how huge and impactful, how broad was the reach of Ganja Farmer and Marlon Asher and that particular track. You all want to kind of encapsulate it? I don't know if you all want to jointly answer that, because I just want people to get a sense of, okay, this one song, this one artist reached to this height and this length. Break it down for me.
We have stories, but Angie, I think you should start off with the story where you all had to run from Uganda to Kenya. That will put things in proper perspective.
Uganda
to Kenya. Gosh. So promote the drama. So we got booked to do 3 shows in Uganda. So it's like maybe 2007 or thereabouts. So the 3 shows we were scheduled to do, the promoter also managed his own artist named Henry Tigan. Marlon had done some songs with him. So we thought, hey, it's not a bad idea to sort of reach into other markets. So they had a song together, and last minute the promoter said, well, do you think Marlon and Henry could do the song that they created together on stage? I kind of side-eyed it a little bit, but the distance between shows in Uganda was 3-4 hours away. So I thought, okay, but he just can't sing the Ganja Farmer. Before that night was over, after traveling 21 odd hours to get to Entebbe, before we could even try to go to sleep, there was a whole ruckus. Apparently, the artist who was headlining the other 3 concerts Marlon got booked for seemed to think that Marlon was dissing him in some way. So this is like really awful grapevine telephone games going on in Africa at our expense. A call went out on national radio in Uganda saying to kill Marlon Asher and his manager, right? So Last King of Scotland.
On national radio. The #1 radio station in Uganda.
Okay.
So the promoter, who was actually Ugandan, was freaked out. So that doesn't make me feel very good. So I'm like, all right, well, let's just go. So we jumped in a car and drove for what seemed like forever, and ended up eventually in Kenya. When we were there in Kenya, we were just, I kind of had enough at that point, and there were a lot of other renegotiations going on and other kinds of uncivil threatening going on to the promoter, because I was basically conceptualizing how we're getting out of here, because at that point it's a breach of contract, right? Our safety was compromised, and that constitutes a breach of contract. I did not have to own that. So while we were going to the Nairobi Hilton, I'm walking in, Marlon said, Aunt, I'm going to the bathroom, I'll be right back. As he's walking across, the concierge, he must have been about 21, 22 years old. He came over to me and he says, was that Marlon Asher? And I had to stop for a second. I was like, excuse me? He said, Marlon Asher. He's like, was that Marlon Asher, the Ganja Farmer? I'm like, you know Marlon?
We didn't even have any shows carded in Kenya.
We weren't even supposed to be there. And this was somebody who recognized him on sight for the first time. And that's when it really occurred to me, in a place that we weren't even intended to be, like, this song had really extended its reach globally. It went all around the world, which was really phenomenal.
It's fascinating because we grew up in Trinidad here with a disposable mentality as it relates to music. Because we deal with Carnival, and every year there's new music coming in, and people look for what's new, what's new. You're talking about one song, and you're talking about it spanning over a period of years.
Yes.
And performances and stuff. And
up to
this time. So this really and truly kind of puts the musical template on a standard international platform that we truly sometimes ignore or forget because we're so locked into this.
The carnival.
12 months turnover.
Yeah.
Every 12 months, what's new? What's new? Disposable. You know, that's not where coming from.
Yeah.
Right. But we only do it for our music because we would celebrate, and I guess that's probably why Ganja Farmer benefited from it, because I mean, Beres could come here and sing his tracks every single year and still have kind of hit music playing. But we always looking for what's new.
That's right.
When last year dropped something new, but it was seen. You know, that's the whole. Is that a major flaw in our thinking?
Remember the same thing I was discussing earlier on. We are the most disposable, creative market in the world. That 12-month cycle, as a matter of fact, is already a 6-month cycle, because we create in October and dispose in March. We have been going through this. I mean, I tell you, 50 years in the business.
Right.
And I've seen this happen over from Calypso time. Was less so at Calypso time, but more so now in the present soca era, where the real thrust of production starts right after Miami Carnival.
Right, and just goes down.
October, everybody's starting to flood studios from next week. And Carnival Tuesday about 8 o'clock is when the garbage bin opens. Yeah.
I don't want to divert too much. Angie, as a woman dealing with a Trinidadian reggae artist with a mega song and having to manage that side of it, being perceived sometimes not as his manager but as what are you kind of thing. What was that experience like, handling it from a female?
So there was always, and you have to understand, promoters are vested in like physical bodies very different, because every additional body to them is an expense that they have to pay. So sometimes I literally thought that they were hoping that I was like Marlon's girlfriend or something. So that way, okay, it's only one hotel room, right? So it literally comes down a lot of times to how they factor economy in the whole thing. But a lot of times they would ask, and I would even have his fans asking me, he's like, are you his manager or are you his woman? And I'm like, I'm his manager. So then eventually they would call me either boss lady, some would call me boss lady, some would talk to me as Miss Manager. And it was kind of a funny term to hear to me, that they would say, Miss Manager. They got used to seeing me after a while. But it was such an unusual sight that usually, you would see the brethren, the guys. It's like the male representation is large in that case. So Marlon traveling with a woman often kind of made them raise an eyebrow, like what's really going on there? Like, who is she? So a lot of curiosities about that. But generally speaking, it became a situation for me primarily about allowing everyone to understand what my position was as Marlon's manager. And as long as we had the business of my business sorted, everything would just be fine.
Now, your team, you and Jaron together, you all were quite successful in taking the song and the artist to what I call the height of like professional execution. The way Woodruff and Woodruff managed Marlon's song and career, it turned it into a financially successful operation and empire. And it was done by two trainees who applied unknown and applied common sense, a strong level of academia, but at the same time a spirit and a willingness to persevere in spite of all the odds, and really take it to something special. And that's one of the reasons why we did this show tonight, to kind of highlight the fact that it's possible to succeed, it's possible to beat the odds, it's possible to move things in a different direction.
Very true.
And this is a classic example of that. All right? But you've had that success. What does it mean? What does it mean for? Because the unfortunate thing for me is that no one has taken the template and repeated or built on it or grown on it. There's no follow-up stories. In the Jamaican marketplace, you can see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 follow stories to every success that has happened. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, even with the reggae phenomenon, we haven't seen that mega success follow through from other artists. Why? Why?
Because it's not soca.
No, well, if you're talking about the other reggae artists.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right? I think personally, we have to really track back here a little bit. Angie was out there in New York City, but she was very active in the entertainment industry, right? So I didn't have to go and hire an agent or a publisher to pursue certain deals.
A publicist.
Well, the publisher, in the sense of the publisher, have to bring in the deals.
Yeah.
You know, the publicists now, they will be the ones to actually do what Angie was doing, which is making them known, if you understand what I'm saying. But what happened is that David Arquette and Courtney Cox, they gave us a call. Yeah, the real David Arquette and Courtney Cox.
I got a call from David.
Yeah.
About 11 o'clock in the night.
The name of the show that he was producing, he told me, I'm producing a show named Tripper. I would love to get Ganja Farmer inside of that. That was 2006, 2007. You know, I say, and Courtney Cox came on the line. She said, I'm Courtney Cox. I'm his husband. I'm his wife. And I'm producing a show with him. You know, I know you know us, but it's not a big A+ movie.
It was a B-list.
It was a B-list movie,
Yeah, B-list.
right? And they really told us that so that we wouldn't charge them a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But that got them into LA and California, right? And then Greensleeves. VP wanted the track, but VP didn't offer Beaver anything real. So we went to Greensleeves. And Greensleeves offered us maybe 3, 4, 5 times what VP was offering, you know? So that now put him in London and Africa. So in other words, and we had many other moves like that as well, but we did all that without a publisher, right? So we got the links. We learned what to do. And then the links remain ours. So it was very easy for us now to make another hit for Marlon and make another song for Marlon. You have to understand that we were team Marlon Asher.
Right.
We were not team everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a competition, but that was our artist, and we had to make sure that he got to the top or wherever he had to reach first, you know? And that is what we did. We made a lot of deals, and we got him in every corner of the world without a publisher.
As a matter of fact, when the song first blew open here, a couple people illegally jumped on the rhythm.
Illegally jumped?
Illegally jumped.
Okay, it's Trinidad.
Yeah. But because while Woodruff and Woodruff were doing this stuff out there, I was playing block and tackle here. Because remember, this is Marlon's first song.
That's right.
First door opening. And a couple other artists jumped on the rhythm. They got the rhythm illegally and recorded it and released on radio. So they were now starting to compete with Marlon. I called every radio station and legally threatened them.
I remember I got a call from you.
Right. Everybody.
I remember I got a call. I think that this song is not authorized by...
Not authorized. Yes, I removed everybody legally because...
It's amazing you're saying it and the whole story just fly back.
No, it's because, in other words, our artist is the first time he is now the glass has just been broken, you know, and here's the rush, everybody trying to crowd in on the success.
Well, for me, because as a program administrator running a radio station, it was the first time I had a producer calling me to stop a song from playing on the air.
Yeah, well.
I didn't have that before. Producers didn't intervene in music in that way.
No.
Again, our industry was so unregulated that them things didn't happen.
Yeah, but I couldn't allow somebody to compete with me with my product.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Makes sense.
And illegally.
Illegally.
They were going to claim everything off of that on top of that.
Yeah.
You know? They even put Buju Banton's a cappella on top of it. They put Richie Spice's a cappella on top of it as well. They tried to undermine the whole thing.
Yeah. I got threats and all kind of stuff. I was threatened and all kind of stuff.
VP Records went and gave a guy named Jetstar from Jetstar, Decca, right, in London to do it. VP had nothing to do with this song, you know. But VP went and gave someone to do a cover track, and they were selling it. Then they went to Hawaii, and they gave who? J-Boog a next cover.
Yeah.
Oh.
At the same time. So one was in London, one was in America. They know what they were doing, right? And we had to put them in court. You understand? We had to cease and desist. We had to go through the motions like everybody else. You have to be, man, neck deep in the music industry, yes, but you have to also have your legal representation on speed dial in this industry. Because you have to send letters to everyone, you have to put everybody in court, you have to go through the motions. Don't even play.
Yeah, don't blink.
Don't even play.
Don't blink, don't blink.
Fascinating stories. Angie, you have any more pepper to put in the pot as far as what you've just said as it relates to protecting the music?
So one of the things that happened a lot, like when Marlon would sort of have downtime between shows, you know, like that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? That was kind of like, nothing's going on. He would go to different studios and stuff in Brooklyn, and he would just be like, oh, here's a rhythm to record on, or we're doing this rhythm, we're doing that rhythm. And there's a bunch of different artists, everybody's coming on, jumping on a rhythm. And at the end of the night, it would be like aggravation for me, because I'm like, okay, so who is the producer of the track? Nobody knows. And like, did anybody do a publisher share sheet? No. What's that? We're just singing a song. I'm like, no, you're not just singing a song. It's not just a song. At the end of the day, the rhythm of that song, that rhythm has a particular amount of capital that comes with it. Your voice on the song as a singer has capital, and there are shares involved in that song. You writing lyrics to that song with your voice singing it also has a share in that song. So it's not just we're just jumping on the rhythm to say something. It actually has a value that needs to be documented. So when artists are complaining like, oh man, I'm not getting my money, I'm not getting my money from my royalties. Well, did you fill out the paperwork? The answer is probably no. So that's why you're not getting paid. So there was also this other tracking process that I would have to do, where I would literally be chasing people to find out information and then chasing them to sign paperwork. Because in sort of the underground, like I said, this sort of fetish market in terms of, oh, this is hot right now, let's do this. I'm trying to get on board because everybody's kind of hoping for the break. Nobody's thinking about the long-term effects of potentially getting that hit song happening and having no paperwork to have secured this as a thing that actually legally was done. So that's one aspect I always found to be like really tenuous. The sort of lack or the carelessness with handling the paperwork aspect, which really was another level of the business that went into the music side. So, you want to sing fine, you just want to make music great. But at some point, you're going to have to be accountable for both of those things. And there is something called a publishing share sheet that is very highly advised you fill out and at least document it in that way. So whatever happens with the song, you have paperwork that validates your ownership in that song. And those things also go back, into building your catalog as an artist. And you'd be surprised to know, because I helped other artists like Rayvon, who worked with Shaggy. I helped other artists set up their catalog. You would be surprised how much they pay no mind to that.
Oh, really? It's like going to school right now. ABC. A lot of artists in Trinidad and Tobago might be listening to the show right now and now hearing and not even understanding half of what is being said, because this is totally unknown to them.
That's why we opened a new company named Prospero Entertainment. It's based in Shogunas, #1 Shakiri Plaza. Upstairs Wendy's. All artists feel free. Feel free.
Where the movement started.
That's where the movement started, right there. All right. But now, because we have grown, right, and we have a lot of international links, right? We have a distribution deal with Universal, In-Grooves, Label Group. We're really strong now. So we decided to invest in not just artists from Trinidad and Tobago, but from Dominican Republic, Colombia, American artists actually singing authentic hip-hop. Beaver has mixed a lot of stuff for Jamaican artists we recorded. We have a whole set of things going on, and we're now getting ready to open next week, Thursday, October the 3rd. Okay. So we have recording, audio, and this is where it have to be. Legal, accounting advice, publishing advice, everything. That is what you get at that agency. Trinidad and Tobago was missing an agency. Like a William Morris, a creative artist, not a booking agency. Right. But people who can make deals like Angie. Angie is like a year away from her PhD. Yeah. When she's done there, she's going to be making deals with Trinidad and Tobago and the whole world. You understand? So we have to be ready now. Trinidad and
Tobago won't be able to afford Angie at that time. when she gets to Dr. Angie, Dr. Woodruff Sims, we're not going to be able to afford you.
We will pay you in yen.
Well, I don't know. The way things are going, it could be valuable.
But this conversation is rich, and like I said, there are people who would have tuned into the program expecting a different direction, and not really understanding where I intended to take the program. It's important not just to bring the artists and talk about where we came from and where we started, because these stories have been said, they've been told. But I would say half the story has never been told. This half of the story, this side of it, the issue of what came first and the struggle that it took to get there, then how we've grown and we've developed, and what opportunities there are, because we've got to change the narrative. Things unfortunately, here it kind of goes wrong in a cycle and it comes back around to the exact same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves not growing, not moving forward, but just, making tracks on the ground. That is where we have to start to make some kind of change. Yeah?
I just wanted to say I think rather that people underestimate the importance of building a network of relationships, because a lot of how we were able to get access to whether it was getting that first 45 done, getting into Hot 97 with Bobby Condors and Jabba, getting onto LIB-BLS with David Levy, it's through building a network of relationships, and at the time, people weren't as tangible. Like my brother said, there was, MySpace was kind of the contact, but you had to really go out there and build that relationship with people. And it's very important. If you say you're going to show up for something, that you show up. If you say you're going to do something, do it. So I was very generous with the media when they wanted to do a lot of those publicity events and things with Marlon. Sometimes I would be exhausted. I'm like, how many more do we need to do? But then you also understand that also translates into future work. So sometimes even as exhausting as it can be on one end, you do reap the reward of that on another end. And also when you have relationships or people who are invested in the artists, who also have a respect for cultural capital, I really want to say a huge thank you for Color Heritage. Winston Jack supported Marlon in a really phenomenal way, in that he even offered his he wardrobed Marlon.
Yeah.
It's like he wanted to. It was very generous on his part.
Winston used to sew for Jay-Z.
Marlon didn't have to go out
Jay-Z. Winston used to sew for Rockefeller, and yeah.
Work for Rockefeller.
Yeah. So
So
was
again,
really
it was a
up.
Trinidadian.
A Trinidadian. You really have some stories to tell.
Yeah.
The stories are non-stop. All right, here's what. We're going to take a quick break and come back, because, as I said, there's so many directions that we can still take with the conversation. But we got to keep talking, and we got to hopefully by the end of tonight, get to a place where we can make some kind of difference in what's going to happen.
Move forward, yeah?
Yeah, and move forward. So stick around Trinidad and Tobago, celebrating concepts, reggae ambassadors, telling you the original stories. We've got some guests in studio, and our friend chilling out in Florida, having a cool time with us. And we will be back with more right after this.
Okay. Okay.
Champion, wanna bet champion. Reggae music.
You know what they say? After freeness is more freeness with Earlink Prepaid. Download the Earlink TV app on your Amazon Fire Stick or your Android mobile device. Sign up and get your 14 days free service with over 130 channels. After the trial done, watch 50 channels for free. Sign up today at www.earlinkt.net and like them on Facebook. Earlink TV, more freeness, it's crazy!
Every day, the clients at Glorious Bodies, Glorious Minds are experiencing the slimming benefits of the LipoSarge and LipoSlim protocols with measurable results. Don't you wish to join them? It is non-surgical and the safest way to be slim. Now hear from the acclaimed founder of LipoSarge, Charles Wiltsey.
We know LipoSarge works as it derives itself from research that was published in a peer-reviewed magazine, research that I did in the late 1990s, indicating dimension loss and significant reduction in the look of cellulite on women. Liposuction is invasive, and LipoSarge is not. LipoSarge is a great alternative to liposuction.
At Glorious Bodies, Glorious Minds, you would be amazed at your new look from the very first treatment. Call us in Trin City at 640-8209. Now on O'Meara Road, upstairs Extra Foods. We dare you to look and feel your best.
There's something magical about those old-time days. Everything tasted better because it was made with natural ingredients. We juice fresh ginger with slowly steeped whole spices and only 10 grams of sugar per serving, just like coconut water. Add something super to your day. You Juice, en route to the ultimate you.
For all your Samsung and Huawei cell phone and accessories, check out Tactical Enterprises Limited, located at Ramguli Trace North and Mount Plaisy Road, Canoopia. Contact them at 325-0000 or 716-2900 for more information. Tactical Enterprises Limited also does wholesale, and when you shop at Tactical Enterprises on Thursday, you get the opportunity to spin to win on Tactical Wheel for a Deal with up to 20% off purchased items. Tactical Enterprises Limited, where style meets technology.
Welcome to Regal Products, a household name since 1960. Regal produces a diverse range right here in TNT, all with the primary focus on high quality. From healthy and tasty nuts and snacks, including cranberries, raisins, sultanas, dates, and prunes, to trail mixes like Cranberry Jubilee, Hawaiian Medley, California Exotic, and South Beach, with nutrition-packed seeds like sunflower and pumpkin, and a tasty nut range which includes almonds, pecans, walnuts, peanuts, cashews, and the newly launched corn nuts. Regal Products for superb flavor, excellent quality, and affordable prices. Available at all leading supermarkets across Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air. Like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. And the kids, they have more to enjoy. For me, the Castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TNT.
Champion, wanna bet champion, reggae music.
Welcome back. We continue with the reminiscing. Woo. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Continue with the reminiscing as we do the reggae ambassadors, and the conversation is so rich, so ripe. I want to thank Andrew Woodruff Sims for contributing to the program this evening. My dear friend from back in this, Angie is not just what she did with Marlon and everything. Angie was so instrumental in my career. In the early days of 98.9, when I was appointed program administrator, she became she was just the support mechanism. I had the idea for the Guinness Power Pass, and she's still there. I thought you left. We were just about talking, Angie.
Okay.
He told me you were going. He said you were going to see about the kid, the little one. So I said, okay, thanks, Angie. I thought you were going. I just looked up and realized you were still with us.
Not yet. I'm sorry.
I was just tracing the history and telling them that before the Malanasha story, the Guinness Power Pass, where I had the idea for this car, and she was the one who did all the mechanics, making up the list, putting the whole thing together. We did about 20,000 of those cards all over Trinidad. Wow. And the Power Pass was before we did, the boom card, and before the boom champions and the boom card, Guinness Power Pass was at 98.9. Yes. Right? And she was very instrumental in that. And she was one of the people that was instrumental in molding and shaping my early career, right? As a support system, she would. Because she would call all the time. She would put you right. You know, but without her in the background fixing everything, it just would not work. Correct. You know, and a lot of successes we had back then at 98.9 was based on Angie. So Angie, I wanted to thank you for that contribution, right? And then of course, coming out of that, when we had when we got the break to bring in a book international acts, when I got the contract for the Craveney concerts, and we had to book artists.
Lauren Hill,
the conversation for Lauren Hill, for Method Man, and those guys. And then moving down the road, we came back home and you did Usher. With the Usher booking for Trinidad, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it was Usher and P. Diddy, Jules? And then Diddy was dropped.
Not Diddy.
No Diddy?
Yeah, Diddy never came.
No, he never came, but the request was for Usher and Diddy. But then they only went with Usher.
Okay, yeah. I had other requests. I think there was like Little Kim, and she was already in contract. Everything was kind of already rolling. And it was like a weird situation 2 weeks before where the promoters had like financial problems.
For a while there, Angie, when you left and you were in New York, for a while, for us here, you became the go-to person for when we wanted to get an international act.
That's right.
We called Angie, can you find out about this, find out about that? And you just had the plug-in for everybody. That was it for a long time.
She was the Rudy Giuliani of finding.
Yeah.
Oh dear gosh.
She gets politically sensitive with things like that. You have to be careful.
Especially these days, right? I mean, almost anybody else would be okay, but that one, no thanks.
Yeah, no go.
All right, let's talk Europe. Let's talk about what happened with Marlon when he got, because we did the Africa thing. All right, tell me about the whole European saga, because I think there's a whole different landscape.
It definitely is. What happened is that you have to be big in London to be big in Europe, or you have to be big in Africa to be big in Europe.
Okay.
Right. So that Greensleeves distribution that we took in London carried the music straight across Europe, London, and Africa. With that now, Spider from Supersonic Song, who has a Trinbagonian wife, right?
Okay.
He's a German.
Tobagonian wife.
A Tobagonian wife, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? He's always in Tobago, but he's very powerful in Europe. Not just Germany, throughout Europe. And he decided to link us and bring Marlon Asher across that year. It was Marlon and someone else, you know. I think he was always bringing big artists, but Marlon that year.
Yeah.
And we did a train tour through Europe. What? You sitting on a train for 6 hours driving through Switzerland, sitting on a train for 8 hours driving through Austria. You're just going all over Norway, and Marlon hated it. You understand?
10 cities in 2 weeks.
I mean, come on, you're on a train for a very long time. So we wanted to go back to Europe, right? Because Europe really and truly accepted Marlon and that song in a big way. To me, the acceptance there was really unbelievable for me because of the language barrier, right? Anyway, the second time we had to go back, we went to the government. We went to some company.
Music TT.
They were named something, TNT Entertainment Company.
Entertainment
It was the same model, but a different name,
Yeah.
right? And Beaver was spearheading that, and they gave us a lot of money to go and carry Maximus Dan, Marlon Asher, and John Melody on tour throughout Europe.
Okay.
Throughout Europe.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, another thing too. That carnival in Germany Carnival in May, June, is a big deal.
Yeah,
it's a very big deal.
In Berlin, yeah.
It's a very big deal. Anyway, so Trinidad should really start to focus there. That's just my word. You know what I'm saying, Jules?
Drop that message inside.
Yeah, Trinidad have to focus there.
Okay.
So anyway, we got some money from the government. I just want to say that because a lot of people say they don't support local culture and local talent and so on and so forth. They supported us. We were able to carry artists all through Europe.
It's fascinating. So it's like a big secret. Nobody knew that.
No. Well, the thing, it depends on who the board is and if the board sees the vision. And that particular board saw the vision of that project.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's simple as that. If you don't see the vision, you don't support it.
Yeah. Enough love, Tatiana Parrott.
Yeah. Alvin Daniel was chairman of the
Alvin Daniel.
Good names. Good names.
Yeah. So he saw the vision. I think was it Angela Fox? I can't remember who was on the board, but they all personally called me and they saw the vision of it.
Okay.
And supported the whole project.
Yeah.
And when we did 10 cities in 2 weeks, we split the tours like a spider.
Soca tour, reggae tour.
Reggae on same
Two
time.
tours.
Yeah, two
One
simultaneous
trip,
tours.
one trip.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we did it. So we had 2 teams out there. It was really good.
One more person I should give tips to, the minister who signed off on it was Mariano Brown.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Interesting.
He did. And we actually carried, we have a whole documentary on that. It was featured in Movie Town.
Yeah,
Really?
showed in
You
the
know?
movie.
Yeah. It was
You
big.
should give me a copy of that. That's something I would want
It
to
was shot by
Oh, you would love that.
Walter Loveless and Popwell.
Yeah.
He came on the tour.
So it's really good. It's really, really good.
We should get our hands on that because that's the kind of stuff we should highlight. The problem I think we have in Trinidad and Tobago in a lot of instances is that things happen, a lot of fantastic stories happen, great experiments in developing talent, etc. But it's done in a very small microcosm of existence where the information doesn't get out there, right? The stories are not told, and so people, the talented ones, aren't inspired in the
That's
right
true.
way. You know what I mean?
Very true.
It's easier to hear the negative story. Oh, we don't help nobody. Oh, not
Yeah.
you know, it's easy to get the negative stories.
No, but Obi, you see, sometimes, I mean, like I tell you, nearly 50 years of being in the industry. Sometimes it is worth it just to do like Nike, just do it and don't ask anybody else. Because a lot of times in Trinidad is, you know, you're doing something and you look for support around you, and these are the people who try to pull you down.
I'm sorry, Beaver, but everyone has a role to play. Your role is just to do it, right? Angie's role is to treat with it from my international. She's not obligated to Trinidad. You're not obligated. You're just to execute creatively. I have a role to play as well. My role is to chronicle and get the information out there. That's what we do. To me, that's the core purpose of being in media. We, unfortunately, as media practitioners, have gotten too accustomed in only opening up the negative and exploring the bacchanal and addressing the controversy. We become experts at identifying problems, but we're not solutions oriented.
The problem is the positive people are in the minority, and the vast minority. So the negative and the crabs in a barrel are in the majority, and that is the problem.
We are in a soapbox now. We're going down a completely different tangent. Angie, you want to say something?
Yeah, just before I go, because I have, a very precocious 4-year-old who just doesn't understand what I'm doing right now. So I don't want to extend your programming in other directions. But I think it starts getting in dangerous territory if we always think of everything that we do in terms of the binary of this being a negative approach or a positive approach, right? So, because I think there's always a potential in either situation to sort of turn things around. But I think the word I like to use is opportunity, and to look for the opportunity in this situation. But it can't possibly reap, great results if you only try once. So I think there's an expression that if you keep throwing paper against the wall, eventually something's going to stick. So if one person tells you no, there's a level of persistence that's required. If this is important enough to you as an artist, you need to keep on trying, because if you believe in yourself enough, there's no reason that you can't get somebody else to believe in you too. And especially now where you have social media that puts you in touch with your fan base in seconds, you can literally start to market yourself without any help from anyone else. So if you're not making that initial investment in yourself, if you're not doing that at least, then you shouldn't really expect other people to go out of their way for you too.
That's right.
So now leave it sort of in that way. Not saying that you don't need help, but sometimes the first part of help is sort of making the step on your own. So sort of embrace the opportunity, but seek out the advice that you need in different ways. And I think mentorship is also another important way in which we can help our artists in Trinidad develop on another level. And where they wouldn't see asking for help as something that's negative, where they wouldn't approach a situation of not knowing from something where they feel that, well, I don't need your advice anyway. So it's okay to ask a question. It's okay to see a different perspective or seek out guidance. And there's no shame in that, and there's nothing negative associated with that. But somehow I think that there is an underlying narrative like, oh man, I don't want to ask this person this because I'm going to seem stupid. So if we can kind of get that nonsense out of our minds, we can really start having a more productive conversation about how we can really start using music to really build an industry as opposed to just making songs. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Angie, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out, coming straight from school and then having put the little guy on the side for a minute to give us a little moment here to share and put in your 2 cents. Thank you very much. Keep on doing the good work you're doing and stay well.
Thanks, sis.
All the best to you and the family.
We'll take a drink when you graduate.
Make that money, sis. Make that money.
We'll take a drink when you graduate.
Oh, please. One, I need a bottle.
Some things haven't changed. Okay, Jay, thanks a lot. Thanks so much. Boy, this was really a wonderful session. So, a lot of conversation has happened here tonight, guys. All right. The reason you came is because I wanted to have the people who were instrumental in starting the whole thing. You started something phenomenal. You had major impact. All right. There is ups and downs, and as Angie said, you know, we can look at it from multiple directions. But at this day, in this time, with social media and everything else that exists, where do we go? What's the next step? How do we create the next phenomenon, the next big thing?
We have to start pump more money into artists and their moves and their marketing.
So is it a question of money?
Yes, it is. Because I have to pay someone to get the artist on Wendy. I have to pay someone to get the artist on Ellen. It is not free, right? And then I have to pay them again to run stories. I have to hire people to really get the artist on the next level. If we continue paying these mediocre media houses around the world to get the artists on a top scale, on Billboard Top 10, we will never get there. You know the kind of money Jamaica is pumped out into this music industry? I mean, into their music industry internationally and the movie industry internationally. They pump a lot of money into the industry, millions of dollars. We don't do that. We don't do that at all. We rather use that same money and pump it into Carnival. You understand? So it's what we want. It's either we want to export that or we want to export some talent.
You said we have talent, but what about the commitment and dedication? We have a lot of people. I know of some people. I don't want to call anybody, put anybody in the spot, but I know some names right now that I think are extremely talented, but they're the ones that I would even call right here and say, we need to come find the view. Yeah, no problem, I'll be there. And then 10 minutes before it's supposed to be here, they don't show up. They're indifferent. They get booked for a show and they're arriving late. And
no, it's the same thing I think Angie spoke was what we all speak about, commitment.
Yeah.
All right, there's a little formula in the industry too. In other words, if I spend $100 on production, marketing is supposed to be $300.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Correct.
In Trinidad, the thinking is different.
It's the other way around.
People put the energy and effort in the studio and they assume that once they put it out there, it's supposed to go.
No.
Right?
No.
Why are you playing my song? Why are you making my video?
It's a 75 to 25% ratio, marketing to production, right? And then again, that whole thing, our commitment, you have to follow through with it. You have to follow through. I mean, we spend amount of sleepless nights we go through. Sometimes I don't sleep for 2-3 days, and, going through the product. And then, you have something good. And then the artist kind of slip up. I've gone through this enough.
Okay.
So I tell you, we've reached the point of just do it. And the way forward, again, is just do it. I mean, we've been messing with so many different genres of music and again, it's not only, all right, so Prospero is dealing with that at a global level. For me, at a production level, my main thrust now is electronica, right? EDM. Now, not EDM alone as you know it for Europe, for instance. I'm going to take soca and calypso into electronica. Like, for instance, what a lot of people didn't know, I did the first electronic production in Trinidad in 1980.
Oh.
You might have known, you might have played it in the radio, actually, a song called Atlantis, instrumental.
It's possible.
Yeah, right? I still get royalties from it, believe it or not.
Okay.
Those are the days before drum machines. I did my drum loop with tape, with a pencil out here and create a drum loop and stuff like that. But in other words, there's so many things we could do here, but we stifle it. So we have a hip-hop market that dropped back down. The same thing happened with the reggae market. In other words, I might start something, or we might start something, but when we turn around, we realize there's only 2 of us alone left going down in the race.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
I want to ask a question. So we started this entire conversation tonight about the impact that reggae music from Trinidad and Tobago has had on the world marketplace. All right. In this time, 2019 heading into 2020, given where we are at right now with our reggae music in Trinidad and Tobago, juxtaposed against what happens with Jamaican reggae music, do we have a future? Is there an opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago to still ascend?
Very much so. Very, very much so. But again, 2 of us alone can't be in a race by ourselves.
But they're quite, there's some other names out there.
No, but it takes a movement to make change. It takes one person to start it, but to have that change, it takes a movement of people. But
don't we not have a movement? Isn't there not a reggae movement in Trinidad and Tobago?
Where?
That's it. But in Trinidad and Tobago, when reggae is an international genre, it's pop.
Yeah.
You know? So if we continue just making music for ourselves, it's right here, it will stay.
How much of what we're making right now is ready for the world?
Not much, I would say at least 20%.
If
It's what we're
that's
making for
you,
the world, if
you-
so
you're
much.
saying plenty.
I mean, I judging from our catalog.
Yeah.
No.
You know, but you see us alone, but when you
Yeah.
look at the country as a whole, I say just about 5% is the thinking for the world. Because, see, it's a whole nother discussion now. I'll be very honest, we're very open and honest.
Bring up the cans here now.
Yeah. To me, the biggest destruction of the creative arts, the music industry, has been those $1 million prizes. Once you have $1 million or $2 million prize at Carnival, every artist, his nenen, his tanty, people who didn't sing, pull out his voice from under bed, wants to win $1 million prize. So the whole creative arts or the entertainment focuses for that $1 million prize.
Becomes a competition.
That competition to win that, in other words, that's the Grammy, right? So, matter of fact, that becomes more important than getting on Billboard. That gets more important than getting your music heard in Europe or getting Africa. Everything else is an afterthought. The primary thought is winning that $1 million prize. You get rid of that $1 million prize, and you will see the industries just flourish.
That's a good point, because which other industry in the world does that?
No. We are the only place on the planet where professionals keep going after a prize every year, competition every year. Right? So in other words, that becomes your mainstay. So outside of that, you could find maybe just 2, 3, 4 artists who have, because they made enough money, have pulled themselves out of it, but the rest of the industry is there. That is their focus, right?
The statements that are being made here right now is ideal for the series I've got coming, going into November. It's a Questions on Carnival, because that's the name of the series, Questions on Carnival, where we want to discuss all the facets from the producers, right, to the music makers, to the executioners of the various competitions, and more away from the competitions into the meat of the art form. And that's a series that we're going to launch in November, and that we're going to take straight through to Carnival.
No, but my thing with competition is, I have no problem because, you know, I've done Soca Star and this and whatever. But that's supposed to be for amateurs, not people who are at the top of the game.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
Once you've proven yourself, you know, become like Young Kings. Once you win the Young Kings, you cannot come back. And that should be for every competition. Once you've reached maybe the top 3 or something, don't come back.
There are a multitude of thoughts as far as that is concerned.
You know.
I've only had one take as it relates to the competition. I have a difficulty with the fact that almost every part of our national festival, Carnival, is competition-based. King and Queen of the Bands, Road March, Band of the Year, Panorama Champions, Calypso Monarchs. I mean, the list goes on and on. But you have a festival that's culturally based, that is supposed to be a celebration of who we are and what we're about as a people. But every facet of it is built around competing, as opposed to showcasing. You know, but that's
save that for your whole new series.
It's a long
whole new series.
that we're
no,
gonna have.
but coming back to the reggae thing again, like I said, the problem I had is sometimes when you look around, like I say, it's just Jaron and myself, you know, watching each other and say, like, what next? Classic example, Reggae All Stars.
I remember that track.
Right.
But everybody in on that track, that was
everybody.
You didn't leave out nobody?
No, Beaver produced that track. Rest in peace to Million Voice. Though.
Yeah, one of the team
though.
members gone, Million Voice. You know?
That's a beautiful track. The spirit of that song was really, to me, it was a true celebration of what reggae had done in Trinidad and Tobago. And the impact that it had.
It definitely
that song
did.
was a full homage. It just lifted everything up.
DJs from all over the world were calling me for that song.
And as a matter of fact, the same thing happened. Well, up to a point, I mean, Oluganda Farmer broke it open, but it did not get the love it should have got. It got more love outside than in Trinidad. Again, the same story. Even some of the artists who were traveling at the time started to realize, wait a minute, even this thing is bigger outside. It's only when they reach outside they realize how big the track was outside. You know, but you know, we can still go back there if we have that collective thought, because it's a collective thought and the group that moves things forward.
But I want to say something. I was very impressed with the reggae movement. I was very impressed with the managers, Nadine, Rick, you know, and all the other people that, you know, put in their efforts behind the artists. And they did their best, you know. Because at the end of the day...
In the limited environment.
Yeah, they didn't get the support in Trinidad and Tobago at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they did their best. King David, all the artists, they did their best. King David's manager, Mush, actually paid me to see about King David in Jamaica. So this reggae movement didn't have enemies, you know. We were all friends, you know. So we all the managers were friends. We were always advising each other. I would get a booking for somebody. Nadine would call me for a booking. We were really, really close.
A different kind of unity.
Yeah, and that is why it went so far. But when you really listen to what these guys were singing, they were all singing about God. It was very praise-like music, you know. So that there helped as well, you know. You know, it wasn't bacchanal. It was more about let's praise God, this, that, the other. And it really...
And positivity.
It's you know, so it's true.
Yeah. Obi, let me ask you a question. At carnival time, say the competition money, by the time they finish, split it up, say 2, 3, 4 million, right? For the competition. If they would take that money and divide that up, instead of giving it as prizes, in other words, for want of a better word, the reggae movement, the pop movement, in other words, different pockets of creative arts. You know how far this industry would be right now with creative people? There are so many people on the outside of soca who have just either sat on the sidelines or just give up because there's no support system. I mean, they can't do it by themselves. He and I can't do it by ourselves. A couple of the managers, we can't do it alone. Again, it takes a movement. Jamaica did not reach where it is by Bob Marley and his team alone. It was a whole country behind development. The Beatles didn't reach where they were because the Beatles and George Martin was England, the UK was behind the Beatles. The ABBA, Sweden, in other words, is a country, it was a whole...
It takes a whole country to...
Yeah. See, it is not one or two people.
The identity is not the artist, it's the country.
Yeah. Where it reaches a point now where Sweden is exporting.
Yeah.
Sweden is exporting. Some of the biggest producers in the world now, they have developed a whole infrastructure to develop their creative arts that they're exporting songwriting and producing now to South Korea to develop the K-pop. You know what I mean? And now South Korea now is exporting K-pop to the rest of the world.
That's right.
Yeah. And it is a massive movement.
It is a massive movement.
And the connectivity there is, when you talk about it, you can see all the threads that connect the whole thing.
Exactly.
We've got, I mean, there's so much work that we have to do in Trinidad. And I mean, sometimes I feel it's so important for us to attempt to sensitize the people as to the realities as it exists and hopefully influence them in a direction that could really implement some change. And we just got 2 minutes before we wrap things up, so I want to take the time out to really... Yeah, that's how it goes. I want to take the time out to really thank you guys for being a part of the program. The program note was extremely different. Initially when we started and we wanted to do the reggae ambassadors, the idea was, let's get all the reggae artists and bring them down, everybody we could find and bring them into one show. And that actually was carded for last week. Okay. I had a personal emergency and I had to cancel last week's show. And then when we started to put the whole process together, I said, listen, I wanted to create a different narrative in a different direction. It's not just getting everybody in a room to talk as we've done in the past, but to create a conversation that moves in a different direction. And I, at the end of tonight, feel that we've achieved that. Sitting down with people who started, who wrote the book, because a lot of times those who walk the road know where the bumps and the problems are, and
we know the potholes.
That is my point. So you can help avoid the whole thing. So this was the purpose, and that was the exercise. Celebrating concepts this week, reggae ambassadors, a different angle, a different approach, but indeed a fantastic show. And it's because of the input that we got from the gentlemen. So I want to thank you, G, for being a part of it.
Thanks again, Obi.
Right? Beaver, as always, you know what I mean? All right, Trinidad and Tobago, of course, every week we're coming at you with a different topic and a different approach. We've got some special shows still in store for you as we continue with Celebrating Concepts right here on Synergy TV. Remember, tune in on Sunday for the full rerun. Starts at, is it 9 o'clock? I always forget the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll be, but the boss is in the back beside how it goes, all right? So once again, thanks to the team for making it all possible. And we will see you again soon for another edition of Celebrating Concepts right here on Synergy TV. Have yourself a good night.
champion. Wanna bet champion.